From Chapter 1, 1890, at the boarding house. Several days later, in the late afternoon, Addie arrived at Tom Mitchell's door at the end of the hallway to clean his room. She knocked perfunctorily, and not expecting him to be there because it was not yet evening, she walked right in. Addie gasped when she saw Tom Mitchell sitting at his desk. She almost dropped the basket she held in her hand. If Mrs. Beatty finds out one of her boarders was still in his room when I entered, Addie quickly blurted out an apology. I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell. I'll come back later. She immediately backed out of the room, ready to close the door. Nonsense, Tom Mitchell said, putting his pen in the inkwell as he spoke. You don't have to do that. You can straighten things up while I'm here. I'll be working at my desk. Yes, sir, she said. She glanced over her shoulder and looked down the hall to see if anyone was watching her, but no one was there. She re-entered his room, closing the door behind her. Addie tried to work as if she were alone in the room. She did not dare look over at Tom Mitchell as he sat at his desk. But she did not have to look at him to know that even though he was sitting there, he was not working. She could feel the force of his gaze upon her while she worked. He was staring at her while she moved around his room, and she knew it. She finished her work as quickly as she could. She just wanted to get out of that room and away from that man. Alone with a white man in one of her rooms? I just hope Mrs. Beatty never finds out. She'll have my job for sure. She quickly gathered Tom Mitchell's clothes up off the floor, his shirt and collar, his nightshirt and drawers, and filled the basket. There, now, I'm finished. She felt a wave of relief. Then, looking down at her basket, Addie walked toward the door. But just as she started to pass Tom Mitchell, he reached out from where he sat at his chair and grabbed her arm firmly. Addie gasped and briefly held her breath, her eyes fixed on the basket. Oh my God! Her body tensed. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do to me?